All right, I think we have Rahil in commentary next game, so yeah. Thanks, Aradhya. Thanks, Akshay. I'll be stepping aside for now.
Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you, Vijay.
Thanks, Hriday.
Thank you. Thanks, bye.
Hi, Akshay, how are you doing?
Hey, Rahil.
Rahul.
Missing the action?
Yeah, I always love playing Pune. It's one of my favorite tournaments. I try not to miss it whenever I can, so I'm feeling bad, especially given that it's the 25th anniversary. So
Hmm.
it seems like a pretty good field. So I would have loved to play.
Yeah, Sherwin's really pulling off something special, building up a gap of five wins over the next best player is uh, really, really something.
Yeah, that's what we were discussing earlier. That it's possible that he might be Gibsonized if he wins the next 2 or 3 games, given the spread that he has. It's already looking very unlikely that someone will be able to overtake him.
Exactly, yeah. This looks like a tussle for second place right now, and I think there's a number of good players there, and they are really not letting anyone else run away with it and catch up to Sherwin. We've got three players on 10 wins. That was as of the last round, and Sherwin was on 15. And I think all three of them, Uday, Nishika, Madhav, have been tussling and making sure that no one really runs away to catch up to Sherwin. So while we have you here, Akshay, you mentioned that Pune is one of your favorite venues. Any fond memories of Pune? Any funny stories from Pune?
Um, I remember I remember winning the nationals in Pune once. Again, we used to have a lot. The tournaments used to be a lot shorter then, and I think there was one tournament which was like a 14 round tournament, and I was fortunate enough to be unbeaten in that tournament. But one of the highlights there was probably, and this is a game that Udayan and I still talk about even today. Um, Udayan had a reasonable lead on the board, and I I had the queue, and I played quote QEOT, opening a 9 timer lane with the blank unseen, and Udayan wasn't as concerned about the 9 timer because there were other bingo spots elsewhere, so he chose to block some of them, and I actually drew um, a blank out of the bag and played misquote. So for 194. So in the span of 2 moves, quote and misquote probably scored 250 and helped me to win that game. So that's something that we still um, talk about. And he actually got a little bit of revenge against me for that by playing Tranquil in the Nationals this year with the Q on the double letter and a triple word for 130 or to win the game by 8 points, I think. So there's something about
Oh, wow.
Q bingos.
Indeed. I think quote and misquote would generally cancel each other out, but I think here they just combined in a very beautiful way for you.
Yeah. And of course, all the Indian players will know that, or anyone who's ever played a tournament in Pune will know that the food at Pune Club is probably the best at any tournament.
Yeah, definitely. I think I was playing my first Pune tournament back in 2016, and on the way there, I'd heard legends of Fruit Funny, and I'll be honest, it did not disappoint one bit. Right, I think the players are getting ready to start the next game. I think Sherwin playing Nina Baku.
Udan, I think, the star of our previous story. Also, oh, Meena, I think. So,
Yeah, that's Nina Sherwin.
for some reason I thought it was right.
Meena Bakru definitely no walkover. She won the Open Division of Nationals. I think it was back in 2019, just before the pandemic. So she's been around the circuit quite a lot. You know, pulled off quite a few impressive wins, and I think everyone will be rooting for her to catch up and uh, bring that elusive loss to Sherwin, so the rest have a chance.
Yeah, for sure. She's definitely a veteran. She's been playing for the longest time, and yeah, definitely rooting for the underdog to win. And that's really the beauty of Scrabble, right? That anyone can win against any player, given the right situation, the right tiles, the right place.
Yeah, I mean, if you've been around the tournament circuit, many players have that story of conquering one of the best players of the country, pulling a win over Sherwin. I remember in one of the WSLs, he was a similar streak, and I think second, uh, the player rated second from bottom ended up pulling a win over Sherwin, and that was really a cause for a lot of buzz and excitement.
Yes, and as you said, the three players who are probably next in contention, Ishika, Udayan, and Madhav, will really be rooting for Meena to do something special here. It's a great moment to play on the top table, to be live streamed. There's a chance here for Meena to pull off one of those wins that you were just talking about, Rahil, and something that she can be proud of in the future.
Definitely.
I
Rida just mentioned that she beat Sunny earlier today. So I think, with a little bit of luck, uh, I think she may just conquer Sherwin as well. Let's hope for it. Sherwin's a dear friend, but I'd love to see the competition get a little interesting at this stage.
Yeah, absolutely. Sherwin's a fantastic player, and the overwhelming favorite here. But I think the key for anyone in this situation is to stay calm, focus on their own game, not get overawed by the occasion, and just play each rack on its own merit.
agreed. And I can vouch for the fact that there's at least three other players rooting for Meena right now as they play their own games. Uh, I think Wimpy looks best.
Yeah, I think Wimpy is probably the high scoring play on this rack, and she spots it pretty instantly.
Yeah, Meena didn't even really have to shuffle her tiles here. It kind of just popped up on her rack.
Sure, matters. Duplicate use.
Do you see a great option that let's say use one of let's Sherwin use one of the U's? Would you opt for something like SUM?
I mean, ideally, you'd want to play both the U's, maybe something like Ulu um, or Pulu. Score isn't as much of a consideration here as being able to bingo first, right? So you want to balance towards the bingo.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think Sherwin agrees with you on that.
Sherwin plays Ulu, but he had the play of Thulium on his track, which would have been great for turnover and would have left just an E. As we see Mina lining up first blood.
yeah, that's a great draw after Wimpy. So AGI and blank to CT. I wonder if she could have taken some time to think about a double word, uh, a four timer through the eye of Wimpy.
We don't know if that's an R or an S.
Or even an N.
Yeah, a number of
The
things.
defensive option would be to make it an S because both the N and the R would take an S as a front hook.
Yeah, Hriday is suggesting one of the options on the four timer, which are the act citing, ACCITING. I myself spotted granitic.
Yes. Yeah, so again, it's tempting to play the bingo immediately, but given that it's so early on in the game and the added value that a play like Granitic could add, it's probably worth spending those 2 or 3 extra minutes when, especially when you have a blank.
But it does give her a 100-point lead over Sherwin, with a score being 112 and Sherwin being on 9. Actually, a good position to be in.
Sherwin might play something like HOE under the U of Ulu.
Yeah, that seemed like the best balance and scores a fair bit as well.
See, probably hoping for an I cuff line. Not sure if that's valid. It's no.
She could play Fluence to the E of O.
Oh, I think she's playing Affluence.
Just thinking of
Affluence.
affluence and yeah,
That's 9 letters. Yeah.
Affluence. It's been played and it will get challenged.
Wow. This could be nerves again. Nina's got a 100-point lead, as you said. It's maybe she's a bit excited about driving home the advantage, and but it's still a pretty expensive miss here because it potentially allows Sherwin to exchange or at least balance his rack for a low score.
Definitely was struggling here with all those balls. The free pass.
Yeah, and he now has full knowledge of Mina's rack, so he doesn't need to be concerned about her bingoing the next turn or having power tiles that she can score with.
So in this situation, what being a particularly unique sort of place, what would you prioritize? You would prioritize sorting your own rack or blocking your opponent's best play, ensuring that they're stuck with they can't make
No, I
their
think
next best.
yeah. In this situation, I think the odds are 9 times out of 10 your opponent is having lost a turn is probably a little flustered at least. So I think it's unlikely that they would find the best play. So I think the point is that you should probably be more concerned about your own rack. So I think changing here is just optimal regardless. And we've seen that Meena doesn't really have a lot of great plays, so Sherwin's probably working that out too. If she didn't spot Fluence the previous turn, it's unlikely that she will the next.
I mean, affluence is not that far from fluence. It's
Sure.
possible that she. Heather points out canful as an option, which also scores decently. I think he's opted to change here. Prediction was right, Akshay. He has played flu.
Yeah, and given Sherwin a spot for a bingo when he didn't have one.
Oh, I didn't see his rack. Teening. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, that comes down immediately.
Meena needs an A for cantrefs.
Cantref still plays, leaving only an S. Which was burning the backdrop. And Nina's lead slowly disappearing with 136 that she's on right now, and Sherwin on 113. So, crucial turns.
I think Treff, parallel to the PE of Teening, should be a decent score, holding on to the S.
I wouldn't even mind taking a punt on just playing CAF through the A of casting, keeping E and RST. I think it's worth a shot. Um, with the board being relatively open.
You have the chance of hitting the nine timer as well if it stays available.
Yeah, and with so many eyes unseen, you could potentially draw an INGS or even just an ING play to that
And
G.
the Nef goes down, committed.
Yeah, I think Nina had the same idea as me. I think Tref would still be my, uh, could be a better option here, considering that T would then make another lane for ascending bingos,
Yeah,
and with no vowels, you would ideally want to play off one more consonant.
Interestingly enough, the play of Nef um, blocks the S hook of Teening with Steening. Um, so for Quackle, the best play here was Fest making Steening for 42 points, burning the S.
Yeah, that would be an interesting choice as well.
Sherwin is lined up bigger on his back.
Would you consider just playing XI and negating the bet of uh, the nine timer?
yeah, I saw XI straight away. I think that's probably what I would have played for 8 points more than bigger.
Quacker agrees with you. Uh, Better than bigger. The other player here was Coxib um, from the sea of casting or carting or canting.
Yeah, I think Coxid just makes the board even more volatile, and with Sherwin hitting back into it, I think he's keen on keeping it a little tighter.
I can see the thought process behind bigger as well. I think he may have kept the X as insurance for just getting another higher scoring play elsewhere.
Hmm. Carrot goes down to the S. Bearing in mind that Mina is still in the lead here with 186 to 143 to Sherwin.
Yeah, I
Sherwin
like Carrot.
goes.
It's a very bold play. It gets Sherwin to think a little bit about his next play.
Mina draws into a bingo, which, depending on what the blank is, can play.
Yeah, I think we'll find out next turn what the blank is.
Yeah. Sherwin plays the price from not playing off his X. A very, very clunky rack.
Keep the score ticking. Just plays the cue off.
Is the queue. Showing still behind 165.
Would you consider playing something like Walks or Wax over the W of Wimbledon?
Yeah, it's reasonable. I think he just probably wanted to get rid of the queue, and he probably also figured that because Meena played 5 tiles, she may not have been as close to a bingo as we know she is, which is
Exactly.
why
And
he
I
didn't
think
want to
Meena,
interfere with that, with the tea of carrot or whatever.
I think Meena taking her time to figure out her next move.
No,
Oh, I think she's hoping that off takes the S.
yeah,
Should be
that's
done
unfortunate.
pretty quickly.
I mean, you can get away with one phony maybe, but two phonies is really difficult to come back from.
And Sherwin knowing that she has this on her rack is especially. I think with that we can assume that the blank is an S.
Yeah. Hriday is pointing out in the chat that Sherwin has actually got away with two phonies in one game.
I think that was a game yesterday against Madhav. I think just the sheer word knowledge that Sherwin has, it's easy for him to portray that sort of confidence that actually makes the opponent doubt himself that, okay, I don't think I've studied this.
Yeah, but let's say as an intermediate player or as a player who's trying to improve, surely if you've seen a word that you don't know, there's very little downside to giving the player who's expected to win another 5 points. It's not really going to change the game in any way.
I definitely agree with your thought process there.
Might see walks come down now. Maybe wax.
I would actually like Vox to have come down earlier, and if he would have held the QA, he could have, maybe had a cut play if he ended up picking a T. There's still three Ts to come. I think playing just that Q, uh, I don't know, I feel that he could have got more value for that Q.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's surprising.
Would you
I think
consider
it gives
playing
maybe,
wax to the left of this, knowing that? I mean, I can probably burn BE for a decent score, but then keep RURNS for next term.
Yeah, I mean, she could have played RE as well for a few points less. But Vox here doesn't really give away anything.
I think Vox playing Xeris would be a decent score and give a put her back into the lead. It's not a great leave of DRN, but having missed a couple of turns, I'd be happy taking the 36 points.
Both disconnected. Mina's lead has disappeared now. Sherwin on 193, Mina on 192. Still close.
Sherwin has a nice double here of Labroid if he chooses to play it.
Yeah, I think Sherwin has seen that as well.
Other options include Voila. As Mina draws into Sanari. But I don't think that goes. I don't think that plays anywhere.
Yeah, she has binaries through the B.
Yeah. That spot is gone now. I see. Doesn't play.
Xenia is probably the standout play here now.
Yeah, I think 36 points keeps her in the hunt.
Yep. The interesting option for 3 more points is Ugaris. Burning the S. Xenia definitely better. Seven on 233 now. And on 192.
Yeah, Mina needs to spot Xenia here because there are very few other scoring options for her on this board.
I think maybe in the phase of hoping that there is still something. We've all been in that place before, furiously searching for something.
I think she's probably looking at the sea of Labroid if there's something that plays through that.
The D of Labrador only has dry scene, right? And that doesn't.
Yeah, so I think she's
Yeah.
just, covering her bases and going through those options before.
Another problem is you probably want to open at this point. You're not really thinking about scoring. as much as because you're very close to a bingo, if not for a bingo itself. Reason.
Yeah, again, there aren't really any bingo spots on this board. So unless you can hook an S on the Labroid, so there's probably very little merit in fishing here.
Yeah, I understand that she only has one pointers, but the ideal sort of shape for her would have been to place something to the R of Labroid, opening up a bunch of floaters for an eight-letter word.
Yeah, something like error maybe.
Yeah. It scores too little compared to Xenia if you spot Xenia to justify that.
More importantly, I think it adds too much volatility when you're playing four times of, um, and not scoring enough.
Agreed. I mean, volatility in terms of your own rack, right? Like, you don't know what you're going to draw next.
Exactly. You would take that kind of a bargain when you are, you're scoring enough. Error would score maybe 18 and
Please see.
okay. He just off to play the eye off for 9 points. He's kept a very good set, but he really needs a tile that allows her to pick for the next turn.
Actually, in terms of equity, surprisingly, it's not that far behind Xenia. Um, the valuation for Xenia was 48 and for C is 39.5. It's the fourth best option. Mina spots near side. But that doesn't play.
Looks like Sherman's considering Jeels for 40, which also blocks the Labroid hook.
He's favoring his right. Two tiles in his hands.
It's finalized on James, which is by far his best scoring option. 40 points. It's a commanding lead of this game, uh, bringing up to 273. Mina is on 201. We're looking for place. in- And this doesn't look good for Mina because she's drawn instantly the one of the few letters which doesn't bingo with that set for a 7. And
The thing is, even if she had drawn a bingo, it's unlikely that she would have had a spot to play it.
correct.
And it's possible that she might try and fish again.
Which she is. And I'm just curious. I mean, when exactly do you stop doing that? That's the because there is a you can get caught in this trap of consistently looking, and coming devilishly close, but not really getting there. Is
I
there a
think you
trick?
should. Yeah, I think when you see that this score difference is actually widening beyond a bingo score, or reaching that point, then it's probably time to think of plan B and pivoting away from a bingo, and just maybe trying to score 25 and maybe creating some other openings on the board. Because obviously you're representing a really good rack, a really strong rack. So it's almost a certainty that the other player is not going to make things easy for you to bingo.
Definitely.
Yeah, so it's drawn into another bingo rack, but there's no place that it fits.
To another unplayable 7 of re-risen and resigner. She plays raise. It's raised for 26 points, keeping REN. What do you think of that play?
She's probably reached that point where she's realized that a bingo is not coming down, and she needs to take some corrective action to narrow the spread here. But having said that, maybe I was looking at that top left side of the board. Maybe she could have played something like RINE and EL. just to create another bingo lane there with some tees unseen. But it's also possible that 26 is the among the higher scores that she can achieve on this board, so she chose to take it.
She draws well again.
Again, I see a 7 on her back right away. I wonder if she has something with that E or R that we just played.
Sherwin on 297, Mina on 239. Sherwin has a pretty interesting sounding word. Um, she can play to the E of rays.
Odite.
Yes, that's one. There's a slightly better option as well, which uses both Ds. Put out second best option. Yeah. I think the play is Poddy, Poddie. Definitely, it's interesting. This plays pool. Kyle, what do you think of pool?
Yeah, I think Sherwin is going into defensive mode, closing those floaters of R and E without giving a new one. Not sure if I would do that so early in the game with the lead that he has right now. But I think I can see the merit of it definitely.
Yes, he draws the blank. I think now we'll see something above labroids for a new lane, perhaps, or and something to the R of labroids for potential eight-letter lane. See Sen go down.
And Sen doesn't really create anything new.
Yeah, it also
Precisely.
broadcast to Sherwin that Mina has a second S. Or it's very likely that she has a second S.
Bunch of worst possible outcomes now for Mina as she draws two A's. I think three A's on her rack. Really bad. Top scoring plays for Sherwin seem to all open the board quite aggressively, which is unlikely to do.
Yeah, I think Sherman's gonna wait and try and, or at least wait for Nina to open the board.
So candidate plays
And I think he's
for
getting ready to play OK parallel to Carrot.
took for 20 points.
20. Yeah, definitely 3 points better than what I suggested. And exactly what Akshay was suggesting, that he's going to wait for Nina to open it up and keep a good lead to capitalize when she does.
And for Mina, who's on 254 now, staring at Sherwin 331. Not a lot of good options, I'm assuming. Um, Did you guys see anything?
No, she'll probably want to play two A's somewhere or AAL maybe.
Yeah. Yuga and Na. Makes sense. But doesn't really help her situation. Sherwin has a multitude of bingos on his rack, but
I think Shravan is fine not being going, just keeping the score ticking.
– 331 to 266. Um, Not really looking very promising for me now. Some crazy change of events.
Yeah, the most likely outcome here is a win for Sherwin because if the status quo continues, then the game is just going to drift towards the board getting more and more closed. And Sherwin won't mind that because he's sitting on a 50-point lead.
I think these guys may be short on time as well because 10 minutes ago there were 9 and 10 minutes on the clock. Not sure exactly what the current status is, but Sherwin plays Diva.
That D not giving anything to Nina. He has delayers, but the position of the D is just not useful for her.
Yeah, and the thought process from Sherwin's point of view is that if Meena were to find a bingo through the D, she'd be forced to open a 9 time again, and he is sitting with the blank.
It's finally that R spot gets utilized with layer, but maybe too little too late. Sherman's still in the lead with 349. Mina on 293. As she picks up beautifully. I'm not sure if there's an 8 in that. I see the 7s.
There is actually an 8 through the D.
There is an 8 to the D, exactly. It's a little bit on the nose.
Oh, let our chat also understand that.
Would you know how many tiles are in the bag, Aradhya?
There's 8 unseen tiles. So there
And I
might
put
be
one
only
in the
one
back.
tile in the back. There's one in the back.
Okay.
Sherwin's point of view, from Sherwin's point of view, really bad. There's definitely a bingo. I think the tile in the
Yeah,
bag
I
is
think
a
I think
T.
Sherwin would do well to play Z and try to close that lane. But yeah, what can play through the L? So the unseen ties to Sherwin are Orson, and there's a T in the bag.
Yeah,
So I think he's trying to consider the worst case scenario that she's able to land a bingo. So they're just 56 points apart at this point.
I mean, if you really, really wanted to be 100% sure, maybe something like ZEUGN8 to the A of layer with the U as a blank. Doesn't score much, but it kills every single bingo lane there.
but does that block the bingo through the D?
Yeah, it does.
Oh, yeah.
It blocks all 3 bingo lanes.
Yeah, I think that's a very effective way of dealing with that. Right. Great find, that Akshay.
Plays mids.
It melts. I think the score difference means that if she can, she gets a bingo through the L or the A, it's not going to be enough for her.
Yeah, that should do it. There is a very nice, pleasing play available for Meena here. If she spots the correct hooks. So, through the sea of casting.
Oh, that's nice. 44 points.
Oh, I see it now. Yeah, that would have been a good play.
The, the play was coarse, making Stook and a bunch of overlaps. But I think it's opted for O here. And
The player 4 from Mina blocks Kevin's outplay of Kiri.
he's scared to take himself past 400, 430. Yeah, we have entered this game. Shavan on 435 and Meena on 329. And yeah, again, another dominant win for Sherwin, who is getting very, very close to finishing this tournament very, very quickly.
Yeah, again, some early momentum for Mina, but she wasn't able to capitalize. She lost a couple of turns. And Sherwin was just able to score and keep the board closed, control the shape of the board, and eventually, when Mina did draw into bingos, they just weren't playable.
As a highlight, I mean, effluence and burners, those two phonies, definitely not helping. Well played to both the players. Not easy being the last game of the day. Everyone's tired. A lot of games over the day. So, and thanks a lot, Akshay and Rahul, for joining in.
Thank you. It was exciting to
Thank you.
see Kelvin march on. We're not having another game today.
I don't think so. Um, 'Cause we may
I'll
have to
just check
vacate
the
the
external
game.
ones before we log off.
Considering Auntie the Hollies, I don't think there's enough game. Thanks a lot.